Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, and it is taken from Canto 2, Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 9, questions by citing, or answers by citing the Lord's version. And this morning we're doing the very last shloka for the chapter, which is text 46. Without further ado, we start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jayaratha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Vallabha Girivadadari Gopi Vallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivājakacārya Astottara Satasisi Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivājakacārya Astottara Satasisi Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Chamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Guru Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Teja Swami Namaste Krishna Prabhupada Siddhartha Sri Gaur Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tejaviti Narayana Namaskritya Narunchevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashta Prayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. These devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 46. Yadutaham tvayā pṛṣṭo vairājāt puruṣād idam yathāsīt tad upākhyāste praśnān anyāṁś kṛtsnaśaḥ yad utāhaṁ tvayā pṛṣṭo vairājāt puruṣād idam yathāsīt tad upākhyāste praśnān anyāṁś kṛtsnaśaḥ yad utāhaṁ tvayā pṛṣṭo vairājāt puruṣād idam yathāsīt tad upākhyāste praśnān anyāṁś kṛtsnaśaḥ. Please chant. Anyone?
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Yad utāhaṁ tvayā pṛṣṭo vairājāt puruṣād idam yathāsīt tad upākhyāste praśnān anyāṁś kṛtsnaśaḥ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yad utāhaṁ tvayā pṛṣṭo vairājāt puruṣādidam yathāsīt tad upākhyāste praśnān anyāṁś kṛtsnaśaḥ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Yad utāhaṁ tvayā pṛṣṭo vairājāt puruṣād yathāsīt tad upākhyāste praśnān anyāṁś kṛtsnaśaḥ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? All right, we'll do it forward. Hare Krishna. Okay. So, Yat, what? Uta is, however. Aham, I. Tvayā, by you. Pṛṣṭo, I am asked. Vairājāt, from the universal form. Puruṣād, from the personality of Godhead. Idam, this world. Yatā, as it. Asīt, was. Tad, that. Upākhyāste, I shall explain. Praśnān, all the questions. Anyāṁ, others. Cha, as well as. Kṛtsnaśaḥ, in great detail. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O King, your questions as to how the universe became manifested from the gigantic form of the personality of Godhead, as well as other questions, I shall answer in detail by explanation of the 4 verses already mentioned. Purport. As stated in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this great transcendental literature is the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic knowledge, and therefore all questions that can be humanly possible regarding the universal affairs beginning from its creation are all answered in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The answers depend only on the qualification of the person who explains them. The 10 divisions of Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained by the great speaker Srila Shukadeva Goswami, are the limitation of all questions, and intelligent persons will derive all intellectual benefits from them by proper utilization. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the second canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. Om Gyanati Virandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatiyadi Shantarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachise Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The translation again. O King, your questions as to how the universe became manifested from the gigantic form of the personality of Godhead, as well as other questions, I shall answer in detail by explanation of the 4 verses already mentioned. Hare Krishna. So, O King, that means Maharaj Pariksit. So the person who is saying that they're going to answer his questions, the king's questions, as well as other questions. First, this one, how the universe became manifested. And other questions Maharaj Pariksit had asked. He's going to explain this, answer it in explanation of the 4 verses already mentioned. So what are the 4 verses that are mentioned? The 4 verses are what's called the Chatusloki, the ones that's in so many ways, the backbone of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is itself a backbone in the sense that it is the commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And so the commentary has been explained by a number of people. Now, the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam's explanation and purports given by Srila Prabhupada, the evidence is definitely there that more devotees have been made. People have turned to Krishna based on Srila Prabhupada's explanation. And he also says he actually didn't get the ideas for the purport. We know 2 things that he did. His disciples said it. That when he traveled, he had 4 big books. These were explanations from the acharyas in the disciplic line of Brahma-Gaudiya, Brahma-Madhva-Gaudiya Sampradaya. He took their books, and he was referring to their books. So he got information, and whenever he took some information as part of his purport, he also noticed. Srila Swami says that. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj said that. So he was always referring to the person by name. That gave us a certain idea. So the purpose was not his. And you can say, well, those times that he was writing from his own realizations, that was from him. But he says that's not from him. Apart from the places that you got the references, the rest were all dictated to him by Krishna. So this is very important. He said Krishna dictated directly to him, and he wrote those purports. And that's why the purports are such an effective tool for turning people's minds towards Krishna consciousness. So he explained it so well. And now in this text, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, Maharaj Pariksit, you've asked these glorious questions, and I'm going to explain each one of them. So we are going to get the privilege in the next chapter of the explanations, 10 points that underlie this creation. He's going to explain. As a matter of fact, you will probably hear it tomorrow, because that is the very next text. Since chapter 9 is finished as of today, chapter 10 begins tomorrow, and the very first text in chapter 10 talks about those of the same canto number 2, talks about those 10 points that has been mentioned earlier. But now he's saying that he's going to explain based on the 4 verses. The 4 verses which are in this section here, meaning Canto 2, Chapter 9. But text 32, 33, 34, and 35. 33, sorry, I'll say it again, 33, 34, 35, and 36. It's 33 through 36, not 32 through 35. So he says in 33 that he is the source of all existence. Before the material creation came to be, he was there. And through him, the material creation came to be. All of the planets, all of the universes in the material world. And he's the one that maintains them in his form as Vishnu. And when everything is annihilated, he will be the one that will be there present also. Now, in 34, he explains that if anybody perceives something as disconnected from him, that's from his illusory energy. That's from his illusory energy. The illusory energy appears to operate separately from the Lord. The Lord operates based on transcendence, spiritual. The illusory energy is based on material things. The details are all material. In number 35, he says that he is in and simultaneously outside of everything. We can't wrap our minds around this, but he is in and simultaneously outside of everything. A simpler explanation, I don't know whether it does justice to the whole thing, is yes, he is inside everything as Paramatma. Paramatma is present in every single atom. Whether that thing that the atom is part of is termed a living thing or a non-living thing, Paramatma is there. And at the same time, you see Krishna having pastimes with the gopis, and so on. So he is in, as Paramatma, every single atom that make up the gopis, or everything material, to say the gopis are on the spiritual level. Everything material, he's there. But at the same time, he's outside, like that. And the last one, 36, says, everything that have to be studied about whatever there is in existence should be studied up to this point of realization of these 3, 33, 34, and 35. Those ones in 35, 33, 34, and 35 text. So those are the chapters looking. Now, in the purport of this, the text we are on now, text 46, Srila Prabhupada ascertains that Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic knowledge. 2 things. When the fruit is ripened, one thing about every ripened fruit that's common to all fruits, when it's ripe, it is sweet. It may have its own distinct taste, but it's definitely sweet for that particular category of fruit. The second point is, Srimad Bhagavatam is being spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. Shuka is parrot. In fact, in the spiritual world, he is a pet for Srimati Radharani. And it is stated that when the pet bites into a fruit, the fruit is sweetened even more. So these 2 points definitely support Srila Prabhupada's purport that this great transcendental literature is the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic knowledge. Anyone who opens their eyes and reads this with an open heart also knows that there's so much that can be picked up from Srimad Bhagavatam, and a good much of the information, even the current scientists have no idea about. They don't know. So Srila Prabhupada says all questions that can be humanly possible, any question, intelligent question asked by a human being, all of them's covered. Involving the universal affairs. That's where we are, in the universe. Everything is covered, from its creation all the way to what's going to happen in the end and how it's going to happen. Everything is talked about. We know when the Lord Brahmas of all of the universes, they leave their body one by one as their universes, they will go through the pores to the body of Mahavishnu. That is explained. And even how it happens, because when they go to the Mahavishnu, they are not set up as universes then, they are unmanifested. And so before the planet, any planet leaves, it is first burnt down, everything is burned by fire, and then doused by water before it goes into the body of Mahavishnu. So that's explained, and that's even the annihilation part. It even explains how Lord Shiva takes part in the destruction or the annihilation. His dance of destruction, as is explained. So, Srila Prabhupada says, these divisions of Srimad Bhagavatam, the cantos, canto means division, explained by the great speaker, Srila Sukadeva Goswami. We're fortunate that we're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from him, because Srila Prabhupada says the answers depend only on the qualification of the person who explains them. And Srila Sukadeva Goswami is highly elevated, the son of Krishna Dvaipanya Vyasadeva, who is the one that is the author of the Vedas, and the Shaktivesh avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it can't, in many ways, in American terms, it doesn't get any better than this. We're very fortunate. And Srila Prabhupada himself, with the empowerment from his guru, and the fact that we get to hear it in the West because of what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj told Srila Prabhupada to do, go spread the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the English language in the West. So he comes to America, and then from America, these young people who wanted an alternative lifestyle take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. At that time, Sri Prabhupada didn't even have a mridanga. It's just a small drum that he was beating, but sang intensely for 3 hours in New York, and the rest is history. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way in which this was started. This movement was started. This movement is a blessing to all who are part of it. This movement has so much mercy built in. That we have to understand. Because the mercy of the spiritual master has come through in the way in which the movement is set up and the things that is to be done by the members of the movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We have been given a break of chanting japa to the tune of 16 rounds minimum. And even though a Vaishnava is supposed to chant daily 64 rounds, we are going to be given the opportunity to go back to Godhead by chanting 16 rounds. And that too, the most wonderful planet in the spiritual world. We get an opportunity to go there with the minimum with less than regular Vaishnavas chant. Only a quarter of what regular Vaishnav devotees are supposed to chant in order to be allowed to go back. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also put his mercy in there, in that he's not even talking about us having to surrender to the Lord. He just says, chant the holy name of the Lord. If you chant with your heart, the same mantra helps to develop Krishna Prema. This is not from us at all. This is from the mercy of the Lord Chaitanya, and the Parampara down to Srila Prabhupada. So there's so much mercy built into this international society for Krishna consciousness. So it is best to stay in the society. We'll make one point about it. Yes, sometimes you hear some controversial things, but you have to understand that this society is full of devotees who are undergoing purification. And if devotees are undergoing purification, we know that that's called anartha-nivritti, taking care of unwanted desires. So the desires are there. That is implicit, that there are lower natures and higher natures for the devotees in the society. And if there's lower nature, sometimes the lower nature will come out. So yes, that would happen, but that shouldn't surprise anybody, because this is not a society of every one of 2 million members, about 2 million members, being 100% pure. That's not the situation. If that was, then there would never be an issue with this society. So that should not be reason to quit and leave aside the mercy that's built in, the mercy that allows us to develop love of Godhead, and the mercy that allows us that for 16 rounds of japa, chanted attentively, we get a chance to go back to Godhead. So the mercy part is so huge, it doesn't get any better. We should take advantage of it. Now, the explanation Shukadeva Goswami says he's going to give regarding this creation. Now, the Lord, it has to be understood, because he's saying that he's going to use the Chatusloki. So the first one says, which is in 2.9.33, that before anything came into existence in the material world, the Lord was there. The Lord is spiritual. The spiritual world is always there. That's manifested through the agency of Lord Balaram, first plenary expansion of the Lord. So this very much gels with the text in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, Opulence of the Absolute, text 8, where Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Aham sarvasya pavavo mata sarvam pravatite. I am the source of all and spiritual and material worlds. Aham sarvasya pavava, everything emanates from me. Mata sarvam pravatite. So those who know that, they are wise. And those wise people, they engage in the devotional service and worship Krishna with all their hearts. What better thing to do, and who better to worship than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of everything, spiritual and material. So those of us in the material world, through his mercy, can get to go back home, back to the spiritual world. It's the same Krishna that's arranged for that. In fact, Srila Prabhupada explains that that's the only anxiety Krishna is in. The anxiety about those who are in the material world going back home. Because he knows that the material world is actually, in many ways, a prison. And one cannot be happy in a prison unless they are an illusion. And they think they're going to be happy. An illusion is like a person who is drunk. and they're drunk, and because of that state of intoxication, they are in a place and they're acting very differently from every normal person, quote unquote, is acting. But to them, they're all right. They think that their action is okay. Even though everybody around them sees that people, some people would even laugh at him. He doesn't even know where he is. Many people don't know where they are. They are in the material world, but they think they are in the place that we connect with everything and become happy. This is illusion. Everything around us is telling us that it's not so easy to be here. And everybody says, Krishna is very kind, God is merciful, God is wise, God is strong, God says all these positive things. And then we are in a situation where the weather dictates what happens to us. Pralaya or other things from nature can jump on us at any time. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes spewing, lava, all of those things. Diseases bothering us, criminals bothering us. So some things are done by the living entities that live with us. We don't even live harmoniously. As long as there's criminals, then the harmony is gone. And all of those things are there, but some people are saying, oh, it's all right. And we're going to die on top of that. But we can make it. We can make it. We can make it. We have to struggle hard. And then we'll get there. It's just our own efforts. So that's illusion, thinking that way. Some people don't even realize that on a metaphysical level, there's something called destiny. Our karma is dictating what happens to us. And people struggle and struggle and struggle. And some people try to get you in some sort of business. And they say, oh, if you do like this, you're going to be successful. But look at all these people that didn't do it very successful. Therefore, you will also be successful. They talk like that, totally ignoring the fact that destiny plays a role, the karmic reaction. The fact of the matter is some people may succeed and some people will not, no matter what they try to do. That's the way of this world. So trying and failing, is that a wonderful thing to be involved in? Nobody fails anywhere in the spiritual world. Failure doesn't exist in the spiritual world, but we're struggling here. So Krishna says, I am the source. Everything emanates from him. Therefore, the wise people, knowing that Krishna is the one through whom spiritual and material worlds are there, there's no reason to go anywhere else. So they engage in devotional service. That's the smartest thing to do, to engage in devotional service of the Lord. And whatever the Lord says, we obey. In Nectar of Devotion, there are 64 rules that are listed. First 20, then another 20, then 24, like that. To do, devotees do and not do. So the do's and don'ts listed. And wouldn't you know it, sometimes Maya just gets in the mind of some devotees. We were having a discussion about it. Next door devotion, we got to that point, we read. And people say, oh, this too? Should I stop this too? But so many people are doing it. What about them? I can also do it too. Please don't go to school and say that these people who are a bunch of, or whatever their names are, they are not studying, therefore I should also not study. What kind of thinking is that? How are you going to get a good grade? Just because some people aren't doing it, therefore it's okay for me not to do it? If we really want to go back home, then everything that Nectar Devotion says to do as a description of devotion service, we should endeavor to do it to the best of our abilities. That's smart. That's what the wise people do. That's why it says, the wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and they worship me with all their hearts, which means everything that's required, they would endeavor to do it. In the purport of this is from Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, text 8. A person who has studied the Vedas, they has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya, and who knows how to apply these teachings. They can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything. He said it. Without Krishna, there can never be the word called existence. Material and spiritual worlds are what all of existence entails. So without Krishna being the origin, then there can't be existence at all of anything. And he's inside everything too at the same time. So the wise person, the intelligent person, knows perfectly what the situation is. So they become firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. And speaking about that, we got to make one point to the devotees. There will be situations where you have to deal with your material responsibilities or material, whatever you want, wishes. That is there in this material world, because right now we're using this physical bodies, we are in this material world, material things are around us, but we should not allow Maya to fool us. Maya fools us when Maya helps us to think that our material responsibilities are more important than our spiritual, the spiritual responsibilities. We have to see spiritual as that we're very fortunate to get the opportunity to serve. We should see devotional service as a huge opportunity that many, many people in this world are not getting to involve themselves in. In ISKCON, for every member, one member, there are 4,000 non-members in this world, in this earth. The Earth's population is about 8 billion, 8,000 million, compared to just 2 million. So you divide 8,000 by 2, you get 4,000. Every one devotee, there are 4,000 who are not fortunate to get to where we are at, and to get to the point where so much is waiting for us in the spiritual world. The spiritual world, life there is the answer to everything that we want here and can't get and will never get. It's all there and more. So the wise person knows, stick with Krishna. And Krishna's rule is, tad-vidi panipatena, pariprasnena sevaya. Go to the spiritual master who is empowered by Krishna. He's a representative of Krishna. Don't look at him as an ordinary person. He is a channel through which Krishna preaches to all of us. Sometimes the spiritual masters preach to a number of people. Sometimes they are neophytes, sometimes they are seasoned devotees, sometimes it's a mixture, sometimes they're even non-devotees who may be interested in hearing something in order to start, if they want to, start their path back to Godhead. But in all situations, Krishna uses the spiritual master as a channel to guide, to get information from us, for us, in order to live. So we should never take spiritual as less important than material responsibilities. That's the worst situation we can put ourselves in. Now we'll talk again about the same levels. Spiritual responsibilities should not even be taken as at par, at the same level as our material responsibilities. We still don't get it. Spiritual responsibilities cannot be lower, cannot be treated as lower than material responsibilities. Spiritual responsibilities cannot be treated or should not be treated as at par, at the same level of importance as our material responsibilities. Spiritual responsibilities is always higher. One who understands this. Wise people always put the spiritual over the material, so that whenever there is something to do at the material level and something to do at the spiritual level, and there's only so much time, the devotee always chooses The one who understands, they choose the material responsibility. They use the time to do, they choose the spiritual responsibility. They use the time to do the spiritual activity, that devotional service, even if it means it's at the expense of what could have been done at that time at the material level. They still will do the spiritual activity first. And you know what happens? When a person makes that decision and favors the spiritual responsibility, the spiritual activity over the material activity with that time, Krishna responds. That person would know by the day's end that Krishna has arranged to deal with the material responsibilities that that person ignored in favor of the spiritual activity. Krishna will take care of that part. You can look at it from a, as you might call, reality standpoint and say, okay, well, there was so much time and I did the material and material was there to be done and the spiritual was there to be done. And I chose the spiritual one, I did it, and therefore I've lost out on the material. By the end of the day, you'll find out you haven't lost out anything. Krishna does it over and over and over. And then people who do like that, who choose the spiritual over the material when it comes to activities and only so much time that's there for the activities to be done. If they want to reveal to you, they tell you that every single time that's been done, Krishna is taking care of the material one that we ignored for good reason and took care of it very nicely, better than we could have planned it ourselves. So Krishna says, if we surrender to him, surrender meaning putting his things that he wants done at the spiritual level, which he communicates to spiritual master, put that first. So every time an order comes from a spiritual master, that should be priority. Then we're living the proper life. You want Krishna to pay attention to be able to notice us, then we have to do his will, his bidding, and put that as priority over the material. Another reason why we should do the spiritual over the material is that the spiritual is going to be a permanent account, permanent situation. It's going to be in a permanent bank account, spiritual bank account. What about the material? Yeah, we can get it done. What happens? We're going to die and leave it. Whoever you did it for can't stop you from death. Can't stop you from losing every single bit of property that you have now that you think is yours. And the funny thing, that's part of the illusion that Krishna is talking about in that's 32, 34, and 34. We think we own something, but we were born with nothing. We don't even a shirt on our back. We were born with nothing. And when we die, it doesn't matter what we've accumulated, or they say it's in our account, or it's in our property, it's in our hands. We can't take it with us. So you come to this world with nothing, and you can't take anything from this earth anywhere when you leave the body. Then what makes us think we own anything here? The fact that we say ownership, that's already a misnomer. In other words, it doesn't make sense. The reality is there are some things in our possession. Srila Prabhupada gives the example, we are souls living in these bodies. He calls the bodies, like he gives an analogy, the body is like an apartment. After a while, the owner of the apartment would kick you out. He used the word kick, that's why I'm using the word kick. Kick you out of the apartment, then you have no say. In other words, you can't avoid death. He'll get you out of the apartment. And you'll have to go. So how much control do we have? This is wisdom. We have to think about it like that. So Krishna, the wise people know, you just worship Krishna. And now, from the Shastra, we know Krishna is really anxious to get us to go back. So we should take the process seriously so we can go back. So that's that one for utāhaṁ sāvasya pāvava. Then Krishna is the supreme because he's the one that instructed the creation, how to go about it, to Brahma. Krishna's incarnation as Garbhodaksha Vishnu instructed Brahma. So whatever Brahma has done, Krishna is behind it as Lord Vishnu or Narayan. And there are parts of the Upanishads that explain from Narayan, Brahma was born, Vishnu, Brahma was born, and the patriarchs were born, the 8 Vasas were born, the 11 Rudras were born, 12 Adityas were born. Even if that birth comes with the help of Lord Brahma, the fact is, Lord Brahma's whatever he does, it was from training on how to do it by how Garbhodaksha Vishnu trained him through the heart. So he learned. So whatever he's able to do, he learned. And that's why actually whatever he's produced, the credit goes to the person who taught him how, the personality who taught him how to do it. And that's why it is phrased that way. You may read it in some part of the Shastra that the Rudras came from Lord Brahma and so on. But you got to understand something, and that is Lord Brahma himself was taught by Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu is an incarnation of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna gets the credit. That's the point we're making. So those who know that Krishna is the source of everything, they give their hearts to him. They serve him well. And they also talk about him, which is in the next text. The text we talked about is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 8. Chapter 10, text 9 talks about the pure devotees, what they do, knowing that Krishna is the source of everything. Machita makata prana bodhayanta prasparam katayantascha mamnityam tushanticha pramanticha. So the pure devotees, they think about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The thoughts of my pure devotees, Krishna says, dwell in me, and their lives are fully devoted to my service. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. That's why we're saying we cannot and must not put material responsibilities at the same level of our spiritual responsibilities. If we do that, Maya has tricked us. Maya has literally stolen our intelligence if we do that. As it says in Bhagavad Gita, Namam Driskritina Mudha Papadante Naradama Maya Paritagyan Suribhavam Asrita. Those who don't surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are unfortunate. They are the lowest of mankind. Now, devotees are not in that category. Neither one of the two. Devotees don't do Asuri activities by demons. That's not our intention ever. But that third line, Maya Paritagyana, we have to be very careful about that. Maya has already stolen the intelligence of non-devotees, but Maya can steal the intelligence of devotees too. Any devotee that thinks that service, spiritual activities, and material activities should be given the same level of importance has its intelligence stolen by Maya, because they don't understand that you don't put material at the same level as spiritual when the material is going to end you up in death, and the spiritual is the one that's going to take you back home. How can they be at the same level? How can they? So anyone who thinks that way and ignores the service they have to do in the temple because I have some material things to do has the intelligence stolen by Maya. Maya Paritagyana. That applies to devotees too, not only demons or non-devotees. So we have to be very careful. Pure devotees are teaching us. Their characteristics are mentioned here. They engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. We only do what's necessary for the material. But what's important is everything spiritual as far as service goes. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada their talks are solely on transcendental subjects. So speaking about talking, being solely on transcendental subjects, even in the way when we're talking with each other, conversing, and even we talk about some material things, the devotee should be alert to find out the points where they can interject. Interject what? Spiritual statements. And we'll explain that. You're talking with somebody, and they mention something that could happen, or something that did happen. The way the conversation has been going, the person explaining. What do? You remind yourself and you remind the person about Krishna. When you interject, you can say, Hare Krishna, or Oh, Krishna, Oh, Chaitanya. Every time you bring those into the conversation, you remind yourself about Krishna and you remind the other person about Krishna also. So we should use, of course, we can chant the whole time the Hare Krishna mantra, but the short form is just Hare Krishna. In the middle of conversations, you can bring it in. That way, you're having the person be reminded about the Lord. We cannot do anything without the permission of the Super Soul. That is our situation here. That's why we should prioritize everything such that the spiritual always takes precedence over the material. That is very, very, very important. We've stressed it quite a bit this time. 24 hours a day, devotees of the Lord are engaged in glorifying the Lord. And you might think, 24 hours? But don't we go to sleep? How are we glorifying the Lord when we go to sleep? Go to sleep. You can do that. It's not hard. Before you go to bed, read something spiritual. Put the mind in the devotional mood. Hearing something spiritual or reading something spiritual, then you go to bed. And you can go to bed with prayer. Remember, prayer is one of the 9 ways in which we serve the Lord. Vandanam. What should the prayer be? Dear Lord, dear Gurudev, while I'm sleeping, please engage me in service. Remember, when we put this, we go down, we lie on our bed to sleep, or whatever place we lie down to sleep. The physical body is inactive because that's in one place, sleeping. But the subtle body is active. And the subtle body contains the mind and intelligence. In fact, those are the ones that rule our senses when we are awake. But they don't go to sleep. The subtle body is awake. And therefore, activities can happen with the mind. So when we pray that when we go into sleep, Lord, please involve me in service, then the mind begins to do service. The subtle body becomes active and it's involved in service. But you have to ask for it. You have to ask for it. And that covers all your 24 hours. Times when you're awake, physical body is active. And times when you sleep, subtle body is active. But you request, because we have our independence, so we can ask for anything we want. We have to ask in prayer. And every prayer is heard. So we can go to bed like that, requesting that our subtle body be used. And Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 10, that those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, me means Krishna, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. He will make the path custom made for our minds in order to come to him. So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 8, aham sava sepava mata savam prabhatate iti matpa bhajantima buddha bhava samamvita. He is the source of everything. The wise people know that, they give him their hearts. The next text, Machita Makita Prana Bodayantas Paraparam Katayantas Chamamityam Tishanticha Romanticha. The pure devotees, they think about him, they talk about the Lord, and they excite themselves like that. And this one, Krishna also says, Tesha Satata Yutanam Bhajatam Puti Puvakam Tadami Buddhi Yogantam yenam upayantite. Those who are serving him like that, he will give them the intelligence, the understanding by which he can come to me. And when you go to me meaning Krishna, when you go to Krishna, everything is solved. So Buddhi Yoga, yoga means to link. Buddhi, intelligence. Sometimes yoga is defined by Srila Prabhupada as mystic activities or mystic elevation, but it's a link to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the ultimate goal of progress is Krishna, everything about Krishna. So even if we do Karma Yoga, the person is doing some things for themselves, but they take what they get, the fruits of it, and give some to Krishna. For example, those who work. Everybody has money coming to them one way or the other. Whether they get a lot of it or a small amount of it based on their destiny, give some of it to the temple. There are people who are Gyan yogis. They take pleasure in mental speculation to understand Krishna. Those are Gyan yogis. But Buddhi yogis or Bhakti yogis, that's where Srila Prabhupada has put us at. We seek Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service. We involve ourselves in devotional service. It is the priority. So the conclusion is, serve the Lord. Oh, sorry to the top of the hour, the time went so fast. Serve the Lord, meaning the Lord here is the broad definition of the Lord, meaning the devotees and Guru and the deity. We should always look for opportunities to serve devotees. When we do that, it is the fastest way to earn the favor of Guru and Krishna. Look for opportunities to serve devotees. Also, enthuse devotees by keeping up with them, check in with them. Leave a kind word for devotees. Kind words means that devotee likes that person who has given a kind word to them. And more people do like that, then the whole temple becomes wonderful. Praśnān Swami defined it. He said, the best thing for a devotee is to relate to another kind devotee. And better than that is a whole temple full of devotees who are very kind. Give unexpected gifts to devotees. It's more effective when somebody didn't even know a gift was coming, all of a sudden they get a gift. It makes you think so well about the person. We should worship the Lord on a regular basis and hear the pastimes constantly. The Lord's pastimes is very enthusing. That way, it also helps us to remember him, because we're hearing about the Lord, we will easily remember the Lord. So, if we haven't been listening to the Lord's pastimes, then we should pray to the Lord to open our minds to appreciate the pastimes of the Lord. And finally, those that are householders, discuss Krishna with your spouses and children. And finally, chant practically all the time. Hare Krishna. Sorry that I went a little long, but Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If any comments or questions, please unmute yourself and let's have a discussion for a little while. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, August
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada.
This was a very informative class, is how I see it. A class where devotees, learn the do's and the don'ts, the right and the wrongs, what we should do and what we should not do. It was a very informative class, and thank you for sharing, how important it is for us to, I like your concluding point about Radhanath Swami, that if everybody is kind, then we have a temple full of kind people.
That's wonderful.
That was
We
a
have
powerful
it that
point.
way.
That was a powerful point that I think each of us need to evaluate ourselves to see if we are kind, and what does it mean to be kind, That was a very good point that that you shared. Thank you for sharing that, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. I remember I was at that time listening to a lecture by Rana Swami once every day, one lecture every day. And when at that particular lecture, when he mentioned this, better than that is a temple full of happy devotees. I mean, it struck me like, yeah, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Nobody would have any arguments and points. And speaking about arguments and things that are sometimes don't hit us well or we're unhappy with, we have to understand one thing. It will come. Situations where we disagree will come. But how we handle it is very important. Every time we make a big deal of every situation where we disagree with, all we're doing is exercising our false ego. I'll say it again. Every time we disagree and make a big deal of the disagreement, we are exercising our false ego. The fact of the matter is, here's the reason. We are all conditioned souls. There's a lower nature, there's a higher nature. The lower nature sometimes comes up. We should help the person out of that particular attitude, which is part of his lower nature. We shouldn't make a big mantra out of the lower nature and talk about how bad this person is, how bad that person is. The only exception is those at the managerial level, because the managers are like coaches, and the coach has to point out what is wrong in order to correct. They are in position to correct. Everybody else is a team player. And if team players begin to talk badly about each other, how is the team going to operate properly? It won't happen. So stop criticizing and be a good example. That's what's important. And that way we become the one that people will be able to relate to well. And if everybody does it that way, then here's your temple full of happy people. It's not hard to do it, but you should be willing to know what to do and do it well. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your comment. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we're past the hour already, so thank you for coming. And of course, we are in the season of giving. And please, I mean, yesterday was Sunday. Sunday morning, I was on Zoom with Philadelphia, and the vice president of Philadelphia Temple made a very important point that I would like to also add here. It's the season where people give gifts. And we were talking about, of course, the companies take advantage of, they put things on sale to get people to buy as much as possible because Christmas time, people give gifts to each other. But we can give gifts practically, all the time, not Christmas time. Because Rupa Goswami says the 6 exchanges of love, a nectar of instruction. One of them is to give gifts. So it's not just Christmas time only. But the vice president, Sita Mataji, the point that she made is go to the temple gift shop. Because if we give something, we buy something for the temple as a gift to give somebody, that thing is automatically usable in Krishna consciousness, because the gift shops of all of the temples, they only stock things that have connection with Krishna. So if you buy from there, you can't go wrong. And you support the temple financially when you do that also. So we should visit our temple stores and get gifts from there and give those out. Hare Krishna. Any other points? Okay. So we'll stop here then. Thank you for coming. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again. Hare Krishna. And Nupur Mataji, Hare Krishna. So you left a message on the text.